Welcome, everyone, wherever you may be. What is it? 9 more days until the end of the year, and we come into a new year, 2026. Seems like it happens very quickly. In fact, I was reading somewhere where it said the energy of the universe, and everything is energy at its crudest level, is really changing and actually going faster, so that we really need to harness that energy to really focus our time and our efforts. Otherwise, we get scattered. I'm Teresa Palmer, guest host of Motivational Mondays on the Own It platform. I'm a cardiology nurse practitioner. I connect individuals to their heart, to the wisdom of their heart. And I'm a contributing author to Own It magazine, Phoenix Fitness magazine, woo, and author of Heal Your Heart from Within. And I deal a lot with energy in my work. And that's our topic for today is, do you harness your energy? How do you use your energy, or are you scattered all over the place? Because believe me, when you are, the rest of us in close proximity can feel it. I'm going to let Nathaniel introduce himself, and he's going to give us his insights on this.
Hello, I'm Nathaniel Ross with Abundance Legacy Inc., a personal growth and development nonprofit corporation. And I'm not sure what my comments are on this energy. It's so much. But you started off with the world, the energy, and things seem to be going faster and faster. And one of my life observations has been the older I get, the faster it seems to go. And I haven't quite figured out why it's going faster, because time is time and it's consistent. But I think it may be the awareness. As you get older and a little wiser, you're aware of more of what's happening in the universe and what's happening around you, that you realize the significance of time, or how quickly time passes, that makes it seem as though it's speeding up. But that's just my thoughts on that. I'm sure there are people who are a lot smarter than I am that can answer that. But as it relates to the conversation and discussion for today, are you scattered or are you focused in terms of how you use your energy? And I would even add how you let other people use your energy. It's something that you have to constantly keep evaluating, assessing, and then refocusing on, because there are little things that keep creeping up, because everyone wants to get in and get your time. And you can't be everything to everyone. And you can't be a little bit of something to everyone. So you have to start making decisions on who you're going to invest in, who you're going to spend your time with. Because if you're as you realize you have a limited amount of time, as you spend time with them, it becomes, am I planting my seed where it's going to multiply and grow? Or am I wasting that seed with someone who's just giving lip service? And for me, I'm at the stage in my life where I'm focused, and I only want to spend my time with people where the seed is going to blossom and grow or get passed on to others. So I keep recommitting myself to, why is this person in my life? How am I benefiting them? How are they benefiting me? And how are we benefiting the world? And if they don't fit into those equations, then I really choose not to engage for the most part. I don't know if that
Yeah.
answers your question, but
Oh, it does. I think that's
yeah.
so important. And if you could repeat again that last sentence about engaging with the people, because I think that's an important equation or rule that we all need to follow.
Well, yeah, I look at how I'm spending my time and whether I should engage with someone. And if engaging with someone is not beneficial to them, and it's not beneficial to me, and it's not beneficial to the betterment of the planet, the world, then I choose not to engage with them, or to limit my engagement with them because otherwise it's a waste of time and energy. And
Yeah.
my point is to people, right? Uh,
Good.
Can't help people if I'm wasting it on other folks that just aren't interested.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we tend to do that a lot. And I think especially around the holiday season, we think we have to do everything. And there's even at this time of year, sometimes I don't even want to be around people because they've got this craziness. You know, I play a sport with a group and it's a nice, friendly group, but get them at this time of year and these people are crazy. Everybody's running around and they can't concentrate on the game because they're worried about this, they're worried about that. They've been cooking for 3 weeks, which I never quite understood that concept of how you could cook for 3 weeks before you're supposed to have the meal prepared. I don't get it, but then again, I'm really not much of a cook and I really don't care. But, you get caught up if you allow yourself, you could get caught up in that energy
Yeah,
because it's like a funnel and a tornado. And all of a sudden, it just starts whirling around. And if you happen to be in that vicinity, you could easily get swept up in it. And the next thing you know, you could be worried about preparing something 3 weeks ahead of time when you really aren't even involved with that. It just becomes this funnel of craziness that sometimes I think we also think we need to belong to it.
yeah,
We don't want to say that maybe we're spending a holiday alone or that maybe we don't like our family. Maybe we don't want to say that. So I think too, we get caught up in that pretend that, oh, this is what people want to hear. So this is what I'm going to say. And I'm going to get into this story, even though it doesn't resonate with me, even though it's not me, because I just feel that that's the way it has to be at that
yeah,
particular time. But all we're doing is allowing other people to use our energy. And it's taking energy from us, and that depletes us
yeah,
physically, emotionally, and spiritually. It depletes us, and we don't always realize that. And if you often wonder why so many people get ill, physically ill around the holidays, think about it. It's urgent care centers, everything. Like a lot of people will say, oh, the weather gets colder or this or that. I think there's a lot more to it. I think it's really clustered around the fact that we give away so much of our energy and we deplete so much of this energy or our inner resources that we fall prey to illness because that's the body's way of saying to us, wake up, you have to do something, get out of it. And it actually forces us to rest, which, if you think about it, is not a bad thing. It kind of forces you to regroup, get your energy back, and hopefully recognize what's going on so you don't get caught back into that pattern that you just got out of. And so, what else is on your mind, Nate?
well, it's interesting because tying back to a conversation we had, I believe last week or either the week before, you had shared that you weren't doing a holiday uh, uh, dinner at your house. And I thought, that's interesting because I don't normally engage in a lot of activities like that. And I said, you know what, this year I'm gonna do a holiday party, but I'm gonna be limited in who I let come into my house because I know so many people, but I gotta be careful with the energy that I allow in my house. My house is very peaceful and calm. So I don't want to invite anybody to come to dinner that's going to be disruptive to that, or that's going to change the feel of my home. Because when people walk in, they go, "Oh, this is an oasis," and I don't want to disrupt that energy. But we're going to do a holiday, and I just said, you know what, I don't like a lot of people around, but I'm going to do 15 people, um, and let them come and use the hot tub and the swimming pool and everything else, and then we'll have dinner about 3:30, 4 o'clock, and by 6 everybody be gone. So I got a small window of time, right? and a limited number of people that's coming. And for me, that's part of me protecting my energy and space, put parameters in place. So I guess what I'm saying is for folks that are doing stuff that's out there, put those parameters in place. Um, I have a sister organization, nonprofit that I do work with out here in Thailand with Abundance Legacy. And we had, I think it was 15 events that we were invited to. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. So I said to the team, it's like, we can divide this up. And a couple of us go represent at each of these events, but I'm not going to all 15. And I didn't, uh, because any and everybody invite you to these functions. They're using your time, they're using your energy. Um, and they got all year long to do that. So holiday is not going to happen. So
I agree with you. A lot of times we get invited to things because people just feel they have to invite you.
yeah,
And, some people, I'm sure some of our listening audience is saying, oh my goodness, how could she say something like that? But it's true. A lot of times there's a list or, there's an event someplace. Or I remember one time I got invited to an event because I was on the list and I literally knew nobody. I didn't even know the person that was inviting me. I mean, it was odd, but they said, "Oh, you're on this list because of X, Y, and Z." Well, okay, but how could I celebrate with people that I have no idea who they are?
yeah,
And why do I want to celebrate? This was a New Year's Eve party. Why do I want to celebrate New Year's Eve with a bunch of strangers? I really didn't get that, and I politely, told them I couldn't come. And, then they posted, of course, everybody posts all over Facebook and social media. And I looked at the pictures and I thought, I don't know any of these people at all. I have no idea who they are at all. And as far as I'm concerned, I didn't miss anything because I want to be with people that I enjoy.
yes,
And if I don't enjoy them, and I hate to say it, but that includes family. If I don't enjoy them and there's going to be tension and all, I just don't want to go through that. I really, really don't. I grew up with a mother who nowadays would be called bipolar. We're going back 60, 70 years. They didn't know exactly what it was. She would be high and she would be low. And I remember she would get to the point where she would be depressed and suicidal that she would have to be hospitalized. And my mother was always felt that she had to do everything for the holidays. Everything had to be perfect. You had to invite the whole neighborhood, the whole world to everything. And when the last time before the holidays, I was young. I was just about a preteen. But I remember it, my mother got hospitalized and the psychiatrist was very clear. She was in an inpatient, and the psychiatrist was very clear. He said, "Your mother has to learn to take care of herself. She is out there for everyone. She's enmeshed with everyone, everything, and she loses her identity." And that's the way he put it at the time. Of course, back then I didn't know anything about energy or metaphysics or anything. Now I understand it better. But when my mother got out of the hospital, she couldn't do all the festivities, all the things. And guess what? Things went on without her. And I remember that so clearly that everything went on, people functioned. It happened without my mother. And once my mother started looking after herself, she did much better with her, mental conditions because she was no longer scattering her energy around and trying to please everybody and do everything. She had to become very discriminate of what she did, who she was with, how she did things. And I think for me, that was the most valuable lesson I ever learned in my life is that we're the only ones that could really take care of ourselves. It's not to say that other people can't help us out, but in the end, it's up to us to take care of ourselves, to protect who we are, our energy, and to really just discriminate who and what we want to do. So that's my
Yeah.
take on it.
Yeah, I think there's balance that's needed. If we go and we stick with the principles of life balance, there's the yin and the yang, there's a positive and a negative. And I think a lot of people don't realize and understand that everything is energy, everything. And when you're bringing people, when you're bringing furniture and clothes, and when you're bringing things in and out of your life, you're bringing in negative energy, you're bringing in positive energy. It gets all mixed up, and it creates this funk type situation. And I think people need to become more, what using the principle of awareness, more aware of the energy within them and the energy that's external to them. And when they bring that energy into their space, what that piece of furniture or whatever it is, how does that impact the space? And then how does it impact you? And we're constantly being bombarded with other people's energy. So we need to become aware, and then how to detox from it, right? Uh, if it comes into your home, if it comes into your workspace, or you go somewhere and you're picking up, it's almost like a toxin. You're out and about and you're picking up energy from all these people that you encounter throughout the day, at work or walking in the streets, on the train, wherever. You're picking up all that energy, right? And then you go home and you deposit all that energy into your home. Yeah, first of all, I figure out, how do I cleanse myself of all of that? And then how do I re-cleanse my space so that I'm not just bathing in this distorted pile of energy, right? And it's important just to understand the balance of it all. And I think that if you ever want to understand, uh, just look at the space and what's happening in the space, right? Because everything comes from here and it's happening within us. And whatever's happening within us is reflective in the space. I was talking to a guy the other day, and he's like, I'm telling him about himself, and I just met him. And he goes, how can you tell me all this stuff? So I got to do is read what's in the space, because
Okay.
what's in the space is coming from you, and it's showing me who you are, and it's showing me where you are within your life. He understood it, but he said he had no awareness, no concept of that before the conversation. And I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of people walking around like that.
I think you're right, and I think, I could give everyone a quick way to protect your energy. And simply what you do, if you know that you're going to be in a crowd, like later on, I need to go to the supermarket, I need to go to Publix. And I know it's gonna be crazy because the other day everybody was running around because God forbid that they don't get those million things on their list and whatnot. So what you can do is, before you go someplace, is just envision a bubble around you, a transparent bubble, and your energy extends about 3 feet or more, and the energy actually comes from the heart center. So envision about a 3-foot bubble, almost like a big transparent beach ball. And you're in it and you're able to move around and you're able to do everything, but it protects your energy. So that's one way to protect your energy so that you don't get caught up in everybody else's energy. I know the other day I was in the food store and I had bought some eye drops and whatnot and some dog food, and there was a whole line of people with the self-checkout, and everybody was, you could see everybody was very anxious, this and that. Do you know I left my eye drops in the cart and never paid for them, never scanned them. I got home and they weren't in the bag, and the first thing I did was check my list, and I thought, well, at least I didn't spend the $13 and have to go back to the store to
Mhm.
get them with the receipt. It wasn't on the receipt. And I thought, wow, it was because I had gotten caught up. in what was going on there, and I was trying to rush out. So as a result, I didn't even take all my items. Not that it's a big deal, but I think it's an example that shows when we're really not conscious too in the moment of what we're doing and paying attention to what's going on at the moment, we have a tendency to lose things.
Yeah, yeah. And I like the fact that you told listeners what they can do in being protective and going out. So let me add one for when you come home.
Sure.
If you come when you come home, just sit for 5 or 10 minutes in a quiet space, and people get afraid of the word meditate. So just clear your mind and think of a white light that's coming straight down through you and into your feet and down to the core of the earth. And that white light will just cleanse as it goes through, to remove and detox from a lot of that negative energy. And you start off with, if you've never done something like that before, you start off with a minute. And then the next time you do 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and you work your way up. But to be able to be quiet, still the mind, and let that white light beam through your body is going to take a lot of that toxin energy and dispose of it.
I definitely, definitely, that's really something too that people need to be aware of, that stillness and that cleansing, that energy around you is very important. And also for your home, if you want to clear your home space, there's a couple of things that you could do. One is you could buy sage. It comes in a bundle. You could buy it online. It's not expensive. Just be careful when you're doing it. You have to kind of light the sage and then let the flame go out. And what you do is go around every room in your house at the ceiling points and at the corners of each room and at the doorway. And what that sage does is the American Indian, or the Indian culture calls it smudging. And what it does is it gets rid of any stale energy, anything that's left over. And it's actually recommended that people do it 3 or 4 times a year to really cleanse out their house, their house, their apartment, wherever they live. You could even do it in hotel rooms if you're traveling to get rid of that stale energy that may be left over. And the other thing is fountains, whether they be indoor or outdoor fountains, that water is cleansing. And if you don't have a fountain, what you could do is just run your tap, your bathroom, your kitchen, just for about 5 minutes. And that water has that soothing effect. And water, the molecules in the water also get rid of any energy that's hanging around. So, those are two more things that
Yeah,
people could do to really protect their energy. And I just think it's so important that we really do need to protect ourselves. And, there's a lot about self defense, there's a lot about protecting yourself from intruders, from different things. But we never really talk about just protecting ourselves from these subtle energies that really are as destructive as anything else, but we don't really realize it because it's not talked about a lot. That
yeah,
other people's energy is just as destructive as anything else that could happen. And to live your best life, you need to protect yourself from that. If you had some last words to say to people, what would you say to them as we close this year out, as people probably right now are trying to watch us while they're standing in line trying to buy everything for the holidays, or trying to cook, or trying to clean, or whatever? What would you say to people as we're actually next year, we're closing out the year,
yeah.
but as this year comes to an end?
I would say, as it relates to this subject and anything else that we've covered throughout the year, don't take our word for it. Go look up the information, do your own research, and talk to other people about it. uh, we are experts at what we do, but we're not the final word on what we do. There's always somebody out there that knows just as much, if not more. But you want to find out for yourself. And if you decide to follow any advice or guidance that we give you throughout the year, you got to live with the consequences of it. So do the research, talk to other professionals or people who have backgrounds in the areas of whatever the subject matter is that we're talking on, and make your own decision. And then just go about enjoying life.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And here on this panel on the Own It platform, what we do is we give people tips and ideas. We give people information that maybe they don't have, maybe they have it, but we present it in a little different way. And it's up to the individual. Throughout the Mondays, we present a lot of a lot of information to people, and they could take it and use
Mhm.
it the way that they see is best. And if they don't resonate with it, they could say, well, I'm really not interested in that, or I have a different take than what Teresa said. My experience has been such and such. And that's what living your best life is all about. It's about taking information, like you said, doing your research, finding what resonates with you. And when you find those things that resonate with you, then incorporating them in your life in a way that suits you, in a way that's most life enhancing for you. And that's how you get to live your best life. It's by taking what you need, what you like, incorporating it, and the other things saying, okay, so somebody does this, I don't choose to do that. Maybe down the road it may be a good idea, but not for now.
Mhm.
So live your best life, do what you feel is best for you, and own it. Own your decisions and own your life, because your life is yours, and the journey you take, yes, others could help you throughout that journey and be there to support you. But in the end, the journey is yours, and you're the one that needs to live that journey of your life to your fullest. So thank you for joining us. Next week, we are planning to be on to celebrate the end of 2025, and we'll have some goodies in store to talk about. Now, for now, I'm wishing everybody the very best of everything. And until we see you again, take care. As always, thank you for joining us.